How's it going, fellow movie geeks? Welcome back to Lightstand Entertainment. This is Deviant D. Middle of the week. I hope your weeks are going well, and happy hump day. Just got some sad news off the good old internet the other day. On September 26th, famous horror film movie director passed away. The horror community has kind of been bumming of late the last few years. We've lost a lot of genre directors and actors and actresses. Probably the most notable one is we're still reeling from the loss of the great Wes Craven. And chalk up another, one of the forefathers of modern horror, if you will. We lost another one the other day, September 26th, at the age of 90 years young. We lost Herschell Gordon Lewis. Now, I know a lot of you obviously probably know who Wes Craven is. Herschell Gordon Lewis, not many people know him, but he has a strong cult behind him. He has always been lovingly referred to as the godfather of gore. And once you've seen some of his films, you would understand why. And he was a forefather for the movement because he was doing these types of films in the early 60s. I believe his first screen credit was in the late 50s, but needless to say, he's been working a lot since then. A lot of films in the 60s and 70s. That's when he was the most productive. But he has quite the extensive filmography, so I'm not going to go through everything. I'm going to just bring up some of his notable horror movies, and yeah, we'll go from there. The first one to really talk about that really probably established him as a gore horror filmmaker before, honestly, there wasn't even such a term. The film was Blood Feast from 1963. As we talk about these flicks, you'll get the impression, yes, these are exploitation films, not even B movies, C or D horror films, but that's what the guy did. That's where he made a name for himself. And the first one that really put him on the map, so to speak, was 1963's Blood Feast. It's been a long time since I watched it, but the film's about this crazy cult dude who's way into Egyptian mythology, and he believes he can bring this Egyptian god back by basically killing a bunch of people and making a feast out of them, hence the title. And the feast he's making is at a birthday party. He's a caterer too, go figure. And he's been hired to cater this birthday party, and you imagine what happens to some of the guests. It's a funny movie. Like, a lot of these are extremely tongue-in-cheek. The acting, I mean, the definition of melodramatic bad movie acting, that's what was in these. They had very small budgets, and you can tell whatever budget was put in place was for the gore effects. And it's the type of thing, when you watch it now, you'll watch it and laugh. I mean, in a modern context while viewing it, you can't help but laugh and wonder, what was the problem people had with this? How could they even take it seriously to the point where they would get offended? But they did. But another great film was from 1964, the following year, 2000, Maniacs. This is a story about basically a rural southern town, and it's the anniversary of the Civil War, and the way this town celebrates the Civil War is they get a bunch of northerners to their town and they kill them in very outlandish ways, extremely outlandish. Once again, it's gory, but come on, it's so funny. It's so funny and so entertaining. Probably his most well-known film was from 1970. It was called The Wizard of Gore. This film kind of got a name drop, if you will, back in the day in that film from, I believe it was 2007, Jason Reitman's Juno. The scene where Ellen Page's character is watching the gory film with Jason Bateman's character. Yeah, they're watching The Wizard of Gore. I believe it's the scene. Well, The Wizard of Gore is about this magician. What's his name? Montague the Magnificent. And he kind of puts his audience in this trance. And the film has a real, like, he was going for like a dreamlike state. Like, is this really happening? Is this a dream? Is this just being made up in his head? Kind of plays with that the whole time. But basically, he puts his audience in a trance. And while the people, he gets volunteers from the audience, and when he pulls them up, it flashes from the audience being in this trance and the person being completely fine, like nothing's happening to the voluntary he brings up on stage, and that's what the audience sees. But then it splices in, it's edited in what's really happening, and what he is doing is he's killing these people in, once again, the most outlandish ways you can think of. I think the part they show in the aforementioned Juno is when he's using like an industrial sized drill, and he's literally, it's one of those crank drills, and he's lowering the drill into a woman's stomach, and yeah. Last flick that, if you want to check out what the guy did, kind of honor him if you will, since he just passed away, is from 1972. It's called the Gore Girls, and it's a takeoff of Go-Go Girls, which were popular in the 60s and 70s. Basically think of them as strippers, I guess, if that helps you. But the one thing I will say about this film, and this kind of, once again, makes a comment on what type of films Herschell Gordon Lewis made, is in the film, one of the go-go dancers has death by French fry. Those things you get when you go to McDonald's, French fry. And I would tell you about it, how one experiences death at the hand of a French fry, but I don't want to take the joy of you discovering it for yourself away from you. I'm not going to do that. So, Gore Girls. Death by French fry. It's awesome. Anyway, those are just a few of the films that I'm really familiar with. Like I said, you can go to the guy's IMDb page and check out his filmography, especially in the 60s and 70s, especially 60s. It wasn't uncommon for him to release 3 movies a year. You noticed a lot of these flicks came 1 year after the preceding one. So he's quite the busy lad. And honestly, he established gore in film, in horror movies, when really not many other people were doing it. The Italians were on the cusp of really getting into it with what Mario Bava did with Blood and Black Lace and other films like that, but, you know, that's another podcast. But for the most part, in the good old US of A, Herschell Gordon Lewis was the trendsetter of what gore films became up until this day. So, Herschell Gordon Lewis, we salute you. You had a great career, and you made a difference in the horror film community. And whenever you can make your mark on a genre type of film, where even after years after these movies were produced, or years after you pass away, people are still watching them, which will happen with Herschell Gordon Lewis. There will always be a cult for his type of brand of horror movies, I guarantee it, because I'm a part of it. But passed away September 26th at 90 years old. Had a long good life, a long good stretch. We salute you. This is Deviant D for Lightstand Entertainment. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and like what you see. For all my subscribers and the people liking the videos, mwah, thank you, and we'll see you soon.